Good afternoon. This is going to be a very quick lesson on cartooning, and we're going to focus on facial features as well as some movement through the figure. The figure may or may not have arms, and it may or may not have legs. Under the camera, you see I've been playing around with chopsticks and a hat, and it looks like the empty tube from a toilet paper roll. This is a cupcake, a crayon, a sweet potato, a star. This is a mask. And in some cases I've given them facial features, and in some cases I have not. So it's kind of up to you how you go about cartooning. I'm not always successful with my efforts. The bacon I kind of like, the toilet paper roll, again, I kind of like with those seams wrapping around. This is a stalk of celery, an ice cream cone. This is a poop emoji. So you can do pretty much anything. Later, you'll probably be adding some color, some shading to make your things look more three-dimensional, but right now it's all about line work. Now you can take anything simple from around the house, a plastic fork, an eraser. This is a push pin, kind of like a thumbtack that you'd use to attach things to a bulletin board. You can do a brush. I've got a brush right over here I might draw in a moment. Even something as simple as paper clips. So we're going to try to give life, personality, to otherwise inanimate things, and in so doing, maybe offer a little bit of movement. Now you can see here the fork as a prop can be held in the hand of something else, or the fork, again, simplified. You can see how simple I draw it, becoming the animated figure itself with legs, no arms, and looking over its shoulder, if it had a shoulder, back this direction, maybe something's going on. Here I have a push pin, no arms, no legs, just a little bit of a face, and it's spinning around on the ground as it moves. This was an attempt to have one leg moving forward in space, the other one planted near the eye, so big or smaller. I'm not sure that worked out. So occasionally you're going to come up with things that don't seem to work out for you. You've got to be willing to just move on. Not everything you try is going to be able to work out. Right down here, I think I'm going to start. I'm going to do one of my favorite things to draw. And I'm just going to do a heart, something very simple. It's a pretty basic form. It has some symbolic power behind it. And so I'm going to go ahead and give that heart a little bit of a face. Now the eyes could be pretty neutral that way. If I do these brows, it looks kind of worried. However, if I go ahead and give it a smile and yet those worried brows, it almost looks like it might be slightly embarrassed. Not really sure what the emotion is, but it's a mixture of feelings. Now, what if I go ahead and give it an arm? Or better yet, just a hand. I'm going to position one hand over here. This would be its right hand. I'm going to have another hand over here. Notice this is going to be more oblong. So here the fingers are clenched. Here the fingers are spread out. And because I'm running out of room down here, I might go ahead and make a larger foot here. This is really close to the eye. And then a smaller foot maybe over here. And the reason it's smaller because it's pulled into the body, the knee is bent, whereas this leg almost looks like it's sticking out into your face. I'm going to go ahead and show you the bottom of that foot. Throw a little shadow there. Now if I reach out with this hand to grab, say, a candy cane, because you know it's Christmas, my fingers here are going to wrap around, but I have a thumb. Here's my thumb. You see it sticking up, and as it grabs the candy cane, it goes in front of the candy cane. Well, so do these other fingers, and there's the candy cane, and the candy cane coming out there. So it's kind of nice to go ahead and imagine, here's the candy cane, how your own hand and arm work. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and add a couple little lines there, and I'll go ahead and add some diagonal lines here suggestive of the curve around the candy cane. Not my best candy cane ever, but you get the message. And then this hand, if it's down, this is my left hand, and if it's spread out like this, my thumb is going to stick outwards in space, although it may be kind of hidden there. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify these hands. There's the thumb in front. Maybe it's pushing down against the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and put the arm right there. Let's finish up this edge, put a little shine there. Maybe, because it is Christmas, I'm going to go ahead and give him a stocking cap. So there's the fuzzy stocking part, and let's see, I could bring the cap over this way or this way. I think I'll go ahead and bring it back this way. and there is the fuzzy, what do you think of that? The ball on the end of the cap. And let's go ahead and make sure that some of these lines are diminished or gotten rid of. I'm going to go ahead and add a little texture to that. Okay, and so there is the cap right there. And so there he is, and I could do a little erasing to be clear about what's going on over here. One hand on the ground, one hand reaching out, holding the candy cane, and then kind of a confused look on the face. Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he concerned? What is it? But you see, just from a basic form like that heart form, I was able to create a cartoon character. Welcome back. You can see what I've done over the last few minutes. I had added a Santa Claus hat to this figure here, and my line work in pencil was getting kind of confusing to me, and likewise some of my pencil work over here was getting confusing. So what I did, and I often do this, I go back and I refine with, say, a Sharpie marker or any other kind of marker, and then my pencil lines, which I no longer need, or I don't need as many of them, I can go back in and the Sharpie marker dries right away. Just erase those pencil lines that were kind of beginning to pile up and not make a lot of sense to me, and create a better, cleaner look, a more refined look, a more thoughtful look, just with the ink from the Sharpie marker. It's not a perfect method, but the Sharpie does allow you to go back in and determine exactly what lines you wish to keep and what lines you don't. This is an editing process, going back in with Sharpie. It doesn't mean that I would have to go over all of my pencil lines, but the chances are pretty good that I would, just because I would want to be consistent. I want to go back in, go back over all my lines, maybe making some corrections or changes as I go. Some changes are big, some are small. Sometimes you leave things out, sometimes you add things, but nevertheless, going back over your pencil lines with Sharpie, then erasing is a great way to go. You can see I kind of did the same thing over here. Now, what your job is to do is just play around. This is an instructional video, but it is not part of an assignment. I just want you to get into the habit of cartooning. Remember, it's all about taking objects and manipulating them, changing them, simplifying them, exaggerating them, adding and subtracting from them, coming up with what you think is fun and entertaining in the line of cartooning. Now, you try.